Welcome to the RC Roundtable podcast, where we discuss the latest RC hobby news, events, model reviews, and a whole lot more. Well, hi-de-ho, my fellow modeling peeps. Welcome to what episode is this?
180.
Even number 180 of the RC Roundtable. I'm Fitz Walker. Joining me is Terry Dunn.
Howdy.
Oh, you ain't in Texas anymore?
Yeah.
Poser.
You can take the boy out of Texas. You can't take the Texas out of something like that. Yeah.
What? Well, you're from Florida. What are you talking about?
But if you do the math, I was in Texas as long as I was in Florida, probably longer. So
okay. Yeah, and Texas probably has more influence on you anyway. So
sure enough.
Okay. And right there down below me is Lee Nesmith. Lee Ray.
The real Texan.
The real Texan, yes.
The only one here that's a native.
Yeah, indeed you are. You got to say something really Texan, like I'm fixing to get ready to do something or something like
that. Y'all.
Okay.
Most people do not think I am from Texas. They say I talk too fast. I sound more like a northerner, but I am a Texas boy.
Yeah. A lot of my accent got beat out of me from my northerner. When I first moved to the South, people instantly says, "You're not from around here, are you?" Anyways, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the RC Roundtable. And we got a really good show today. We've got a special guest, and he is. We're gonna bring him in now, or we're gonna bring him in later.
No, do the introduction, then we'll just ta-da,
ta-da. Drum roll, please.
Yeah,
we have Scott Klonowski from KNS Metals. Man, we are honored to have you. KNS, that's like bread and butter for us modelers. So if you're not a model unless you've used a KNS something or another at some point, I think.
So I hear. I'm a bad representative of the model side of things or the hobbyist side of things, but I'm familiar with the history and I know what it means to the community. So thank you guys for having me on, and thank you for always being such supporters of KNS. So just so you know, it's my first podcast that I get to do as a employee and representative of the brand. So
all right, we get to break you in hard.
True. Yeah, find out what happens. I can't promise that it's going to go well, but we'll see what happens.
Well, thanks so much, Scott, for joining us. I really appreciate it. This is KNS is, I think, one of the iconic companies in the modeling world. And on that note, speaking of history, what does KNS stand for? Where did that come from?
So you're going to laugh a little bit, but so the S stands for Simmers. So that's the founder of KNS, Wally Simmers. The other founder was left very soon into the history of KNS. So there's actually a lot of people that don't know what the guy's name is that now own the company. I think if we asked him, he would know, but that detail seems to not find its way. But the S is for Simmers. That's Wally Simmers, and the company started in 1946. And it's
really,
we're business for 77 years now, and it started because of people like you. It started because of hobbyists, because he wanted to find hobby metal and type of stuff, and lo and behold, he just did it himself.
I wonder how hard that was just after World War II, when kind of metal was scarce for a while, or scarce, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's 40 years before I was born, so you got to ask a lot of people.
So do you tell people the K just stands for Klonowski?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even put that together. That's actually pretty good. Maybe one day that'll be true. I don't know. But,
Hostile take over. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a great story. I always wondered about that, and so it makes sense that it's from the founders, presumably.
And the other funny thing is, so Wally Simmers was the original founder, and then he owned the company for many years. Now it's actually owned by no relation at all, Wally Findes. And so it's how do you get two Wallys in one company? I don't know, but it happened. So
there's a Wally World joke in there somewhere.
Exactly.
And so I'm familiar in terms of KNS products. I'm familiar with the brass tubing And I think music wire is probably the one most used by RC hobbyists, either for push rods or landing gear struts, or I don't know, probably other things too. What are kind of the big sellers within the whole company, not just hobby related, but for all the different people who use K&S stuff?
Yeah, so I would say our bread and butter, or really how the company kind of came to be, and I feel like where it started was through brass tube. So anything that's pretty much like brass tube has always kind of been where we take precedent. Now we do aluminum tubing, we do stainless steel, we do copper, but brass tube is typically the biggest one. Brass rod's a big one. Our aluminum pin stock is used a lot by knife makers. And we one thing too, if you're talking about bestsellers, we actually, now that we're talking about this, you brought up to me recently about having a aluminum telescopic pack for millimeter size and in the metric system. And so we were actually already on that, and then we released it because you helped us. You helped us kind of motivate us, but we started finishing that idea up. So we feel like a lot of our telescopic packs have been really well received since we introduced them in the last few years. They get a lot of attention because instead of buying one, you get a whole pack of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to second that. I was going to say, really appreciate you for introducing metric sizes of stuff, and a telescopic pack was just icing on the cake for that.
Yeah, so basically, instead of buying 3 of a certain size and 5 different sizes, each package differently, one package includes 1 or 2 examples of each size that fit within each other. Is that essentially what a telescoping pack is? Yeah,
so it has to be something that has a nice, like, snug enough fit where there's not too much room in there, but that it always is able to telescope into each other. And then at some point, we cut it off, and then there's another pack that's introduced. But in the metric size of things, there hasn't been, that was the first one. We haven't had another metric pack before. So I think we will start to see more of that. We're actually a really small company, less than 40, 45 people. So a lot of us wear many hats. So where it's like, hey, we're coming out with a new product. Well, we're the same people that are going to be talking on the sales team and, going to hobby shows and going to these different trade shows and things like that. So sometimes the attention to new products doesn't always go the way that we want, but we get there eventually. And I'm glad that it's been well received. So I hear you guys. I will, let the powers that be know that we need more metric telescopic tubing.
Related to that, don't you also have a variety pack of music wire now?
Yeah, that's brand new. Probably back in March-ish, we came out with it. So I can't remember the sizes, to be honest with you, but we do have, I think maybe it's like 15 pieces of music wire that, all go one into the next. There it is.
Okay. So, you guys had a ridiculous sale not long ago, kind of when you and I started talking, and that one jumped out at me like, oh, that's exactly what I need. I don't need 5 of one size. I need 1 of each size to figure out what application.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I bought some too.
Some too.
So now I got to keep an eye out because just to give you a little more insight of what I do. So like I said, we wear many hats. So I'm on sales and I'm also in the marketing team, but I'm also I'm pretty much the person you would talk to. Terry would know this. You would talk to if you're emailing our support team, which is basically like customer service side of things. So I'm answering a lot of those emails at the same time, and then I'm going through orders and being like, oh, who's buying from us, because we want to be in tune with that sort of thing. So I'll keep an eye out for your names if it does come up again as well. So
well, I have a recommendation. So the one currently, if you're watching us on YouTube, we have the music wire 047 with 36 inches long. This stuff will go like wildfire at Camp AMA. So if you want to like be a sponsor for some students building model airplanes, I brought my package because I purchased this during that sale, and it was just flying out of the tube. The kids were just grabbing the 047 because it's a very good size for small to medium aircraft and those servos. And it's
for push rods?
Excuse me, for push rods. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm going to go back on when this is up. I will come back and revisit this, and then we'll make that a reality.
Good,
So,
good. I'll call AMA and tell them to look out for a donation from KNS, because that is a great tool to have. And again, I brought it just out of knowing what these kids are going to need, and sure enough, I was glad to provide them with the supplies.
Yeah, I'll direct message you, and you can help me set that up.
I will do that.
So
I had a little bit go back real quick. We were talking about telescoping tubes. I have something I just pulled off my workbench here. Now, I know this is the RC Roundtable, but I do plastic models, as you can probably see behind me.
Oh, okay.
And here is a scratch-built laser cannon for a Star Wars X-Wing fighter.
Yep.
That I scratch-built using KNS telescoping tubing. I think it's aluminum. Before you had a telescoping pack, so I had to manually do it. But it came out beautifully. It's not finished paint. I just primed it. But you've got two sections of tubing that are glued together that are metal, and you got another section here, and it's even hollow, so it has a nice effect. You can't really. It's blurry. Sorry, it's not focusing. But this it works just as well for RC models. The tubing is great for plastic models and detailing up your model stuff. So kudos to having telescoping. Yeah, I think it's the aluminum. And I'm looking at several packages of KNS tubing right here on my table.
For those of you listening, the SKU number for what Fitz is talking about is 3403.
I just thought it was funny because here it is. I put my money where my mouth is. It came in. It looks the plastic. Just the reason why I did this because the parts that come in the kit, they're not round. It's plastic molded. It's got a seam line, and it was like more oblong and circular. So I said, well, this looks terrible.
So let's get Scott to add a line where it says common uses, and we'll just put Fitz Walker model building.
So actually, I mean, you're talking to the right guy, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So that's where I think I've grown. I've only been there for just a little over a year with KNS, but I've grown to love our company because of all the different things that we're been associated with. So there's different like prop makers and studios that have used us. For example, the most recent Mortal Kombat movie, our brass tubing was used around the hat of, I don't know how familiar with Mortal Kombat you are, but the one character, Raiden, around his hat.
Yeah, he's got the big hat. Yeah.
It's KNS brass tube. Oh. And that's what they use to make that, well, just a detail of the hat. But I know for a fact that I want to say Lucasfilm has used us.
Oh,
so sure. Somewhere in the Star Wars universe we exist. I don't know where.
I'm sure you exist a lot in the Star Wars universe.
Just probably bits on a Millennium Falcon or something.
Exactly. That's where I just love our brand, because I'm a huge fan of Star Wars and cinema and things like that. So for me, even though I don't do scratch building, I always appreciate it, because I just know that is like the like kind of, you're never going to have like kind of the sexy, feeling with precision metals. But once you see its finished products, like, well, we're in that. That's really cool. And maybe that doesn't, happen or look as cool without us. I don't know, but it's just cool to know that we're associated with those things. So I appreciate. Is that for an X-Wing?
Yeah, the X-Wing is right here. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah. So that, but yeah, the part you made, it goes on. Yep.
Yeah, it goes on. It's one of the laser cannons. It goes on the.
Perfect. That's awesome.
See. Yeah.
There's a guy there's a guy I gotta. Maybe you already stumble on him, but he's like a scratch model builder on YouTube. His name is Boyle Hobbies. He does a lot of like D&D campaigning type of like model builds and things like that. And so I watch him from time to time just to see what he's building. So even though I don't do it, I'm an appreciator of it, and I love to see what you guys are doing with this stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, even though I'm not really into plastics, I assume that musicians and all sorts of creators use the K&S stuff for different things. And to me, it's fun to watch those other people because I get ideas for things they're doing that can often be applied to what I'm doing. There's just a lot of crossover in those techniques. For instance, you guys probably saw this, Fitz and Lee. One time I saw pictures or a post on Facebook of a guy who repairs brass instruments, and he had repairs he had done on the tuba valves, and he used Dubro push rods and ball ends to fix the valves. I'm like, oh, well, whoever would have thought that happens? And it looked great when he was done. And I think he also had like K&S tubing over the threaded rod just to pretty it up. So yeah, I just think there's a lot of crossover, and people who build things, whatever you're building, I think they have the same sort of mentality.
Yeah, it's so cool. So yeah, we're always just appreciating what's going on, and that's a big part of, like, so when we try to put our product in stores or have new distributors pick us up and things like that, the toughest thing, or like, for example, Ace Hardware is a big outlet that we're in, and so a lot of store owners sometimes, you know, they don't want to pull the trigger because they don't really know, like, well, what do people use this for? It's like, it's harder to say, like, what we're exactly in, because we're in so much. It can be used in hardware, but it's, you know, there's a lot of hobby type of things that you can do with it, and people just keep finding new ways to use it. And so it's like, we'll give you the basics, but there's kind of like an endless possibility thing going on. And so the more that we see that, we just try to we try to market it, because we just want to keep inspiring people to do different things with it.
Now, can you tell me, like, how this stuff comes about? Are you extruding this stuff at you're around Chicago? Am I right?
Yeah. So we're located not like in the heart of the city, but we are technically in Chicago. It's just on the cusp of the south suburbs where that meets Chicago.
Okay. But are manufacturing facilities there, or are you importing this stuff from other people?
Yeah. So we're not like, we get the supply from mills, and then we manipulate it ourselves and cut it. And then, you know, if you want, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're not. So even though you've probably been buying us for years with our stock products, that's actually not where we get the majority of our business. We get it from doing custom jobs. And we have many manufacturers that have us do, like, so if you wanted 5-inch long brass tube and you wanted, you know, 1,000 pieces, we actually will cut it for you, and there's really no extra cost to do that. There's just a minimum order. Your minimum order always just has to be $125. So that's where the majority of our business comes from. It's from manufacturers or OEM type customers who are coming to us and having us do those jobs. And so that's what we actually do. The retail side is actually secondary, but that's what's gotten our name out there for so long, is because we've been in stores and hobby, you know, stores and things like that. That's how people know us.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm not sure I would have thought to reach out to you if I needed a special part. So that's good to know. Yeah.
It's not, and just to be clear, it's not fabrication. It's just really, for the most part, like, okay, I want a 1/4 inch OD, you know, brass tube, but I want it cut to 2 inches long. Since most of our products are always 12 and 36 inches long, you have the ability to say, like, instead of me doing all the cutting myself, I'll have K&S do it. I'll just pay them the minimum order, or if I need a large quantity, they'll do it. And then that way I save that labor time that I would be, you know, putting into it.
Yeah.
So is that like a kit maker could order a bulk quantity or something like that?
Yeah. Essentially that's I mean, there's a lot of different, it comes more so in the hardware side of things, but like I said, we have so many end product customers that use us for example, like semiconductors is one of them. You know, a lot of our stuff is used in semiconductors, but then there's your hobbyists too that are buying it, or instrument makers that need it for certain things, and so they need it at a certain length, and you know, they're mass producing certain things, and so they come to us to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Sure.
in my brain, somewhere in the foggiest parts of the back, I thought that K&S used to make a bender for manipulating music wire, and I did not see that on the website. Does that exist, or did it ever exist?
It may have sometime existed. The God's honest truth is there's certain things we had to take off the market because of Proposition 65, if you're familiar with it.
Is that the California cancer thing?
Yes.
Everything will kill you. Yeah.
And
right?
it's more so it was just a hassle to try and get around and do that. And so a lot of the tools that you probably saw in the past, and I can't say that one specifically if it was a thing, but I know that we had to drop some things because like when we would get it from like a supplier and then, we would do whatever we do with it. The supplier is like, just so you know, we can't, like, once you buy this, like, we're not liable if something happens. Like, oh, okay. So we're not going to take that chance then. So, for us to go around that, it was really difficult.
Terry, can you describe what you're talking about? I really don't understand what you're talking about.
Only vaguely. I want to say it's something you could clamp into a desktop vise, and it gave you some sort of moment arm to either coil or bend music wire.
Huh. Okay. You're not talking about the little spring.
No, I think you could rotate it.
Those that go inside the tube.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Not the spring that's for brass tubing, but for music wire. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to make your own nose landing gear that had this sprung part, you could like coil up music wire and.
Wow.
So
I'll ask when I go in. I'll ask to see if anybody knows anything about it, and then I'll shoot you a message.
Okay.
Terry, what's going to happen, of course, someone's going to listen. They're going to go, oh, I got one of those, and they're going to mail that sucker to you. It'll probably be Phil. Phil's going to have one.
So, all right. Well, just put that on the list of things that California has ruined.
Oh, yeah, it's difficult, man. It's just, that's... Speaking of regulations and stuff like that, it's not always easy. That's an example of stuff that we had to be like, all right, can't do that anymore.
All right. Well, is there anything new and exciting that's coming up, either sales or products or whatever that you want to share?
We already touched on the products, and that was the aluminum telescopic metric tubing, and then the music wire assortment that you get in that pack. And then something new that we're doing, I was just like laughing in my head because you're going through the website. I and then the rest of like some of our marketing side, we're actually redesigning the website right now to make it more functional. We've been, like I said, we've been a 75-year-old business, and only up until 2 years ago did we actually have a website where you could purchase from. And so, we live in an e-commerce world now and things like that. And because there's been, unfortunately, hobby stores that haven't really been around anymore, you guys I'm sure have seen it. For us to be able to sell direct has been huge because all the people that have relied on hobby stores to find us now can come to us directly. So the first phase of our website, it was we let's just say we had an agency that did it for us, and they didn't really understand our industry. So we learned some valuable lessons by having them do that. And so we actually
clowns and balloons in the background.
I mean,
girls.
Yeah. So we had to kind of refocus and reconfigure what we're doing with that. So we're in the midst. I'm a big part of the redesign of the website. So I'm going through it and like laughing in my head. I'm like, this is all going to change in like a month and a half or so. So we're tracking well on that. We want to have it ready before Black Friday because hint, hint, there might be another big sale coming because it's awesome. Black Friday. So
I wanted to add, for those of you listening or for those of you watching, their website is ksmetals.com. And one of the little pop-up windows is you can get 10% off if you join their mailing list. And they have free shipping on U.S. orders over $30.
Oh.
And if you're overseas, it's actually $150. So if you're watching from Canada or if you're watching from UK or anything like that, then it's actually $150. You get free shipping.
Wow.
Let's just add California in that too. Serves them right.
That's true.
Country anyways. So do you have speaking of that, do you have distributors in other countries?
We do. So if you, I can't think off the top of my head what they all are, but on our website at the bottom in the footer, there is a spot for retailers and distributors. So it'll tell you who all of our international distributors are. Once again, be kind, because we're in the midst of rehabbing and redesigning that whole thing. So some may not be active, some maybe. That's something that'll get fixed soon. But I want to say that the majority of what you find in there is 100% for the most part.
Yeah. Lee just pulled it up. There's some interesting countries that pop up. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So Australia, UK, Canada.
Korea.
So we have a lot of different international distributors that pick us up. And then something else new too we got coming up. If you're in, this is more so for, I think, hobby stores. But some just kind of go and attend. There were people that were just there because they do different demonstrations. But I'll be at what's called NRSA. It's the National Retail Hobby Store Association. Basically, it's like a trade show. But they do have some fun stuff there too. Like if you wanted to go see, like Traxxas shows up there, and Horizon Hobby, and I'm sure there's some other like names that you'd recognize that go there. And then they'll have a day, like before we actually go in to the trade show portion of it, they might do model train demonstrations, or they might do a RC boat demonstration, or a lot of different stuff like that, because it all fits in that world. So that's how we still kind of stay and make sure that we're having a pulse on the hobby store realm of things.
So is attendance to that limited to hobby store owners and
yeah? So I feel like I've seen it's aimed at like stores, but I want to say I've seen people sign up and just be kind of like an attender. So when I go, I'm just kind of there, like hanging out at the booth. And if people are interested in having a K&S, display rack, or like they have a distributor that they work with, and want to pick up our line, I'm just there to represent our company and then set those things up. But you'd have to look on NRSA. So it's NRHSA. That's like the acronym. If you look, it's in Vegas on October 10th and 11th. So if you look that up, then you might be able to see if that's something that has the ability of having just like a visitor pass.
Interesting.
But I'm not sure how that goes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to go quickly through the genesis of how you ended up here, Scott. So I mentioned before there was a massive sale on the website that I came across a month or two ago, and I had picked some things out, and then I had a question. I think it was about the aluminum metric tubing. Yep. And I shot off an email like way after business hours, and you responded at some ridiculous time at night, and we got in an exchange. And I guess after a few back and forth, it seemed like a good idea to have you on here just to talk about what you guys do. So I don't want to set unrealistic expectations for anybody, but I just thought the interaction that we had was very positive for me. In addition to the fact that I placed my order that night, and I think it was on my doorstep, if not the next afternoon, but the following day, which to me, that's just crazy. So I'm not sure what magic you guys are doing to get stuff out so quickly.
So yeah, I don't want to set any unrealistic expectations either, but I appreciate you noticing those things, because to be around for 75 years like we have been, I want to say there's just been a really committed, just a commitment to customer service. We're not Amazon, so we're not going to be able to have the backing and the infrastructure that a company like that would. But for the fact that with what we do have and we're still able to impress, I think that's pretty awesome. And at the end of the day, like you said, you kind of at a ridiculous hour, you had somebody reaching out to you. I can't promise that every time, but during business hours, we're really good about getting back to people. And, we're only working there from 7:30 to about 3:00, and that's Central Standard Time. So I'm always glad to try and put my best foot forward when it comes to customers and get to them when I can. So even if it means after hours and, I see something that looks just like something I want to be a part of, then I'm always trying to get out there and help people out. And so in your case, it worked out. So I'm glad that we could, chat through there and then have it lead to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So fellas, you have any more questions for Scott?
Something about Black Friday?
Yep.
Okay.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. Okay, there you go.
It might be pretty similar to what you found on May the 4th, which, so, we started talking about Star Wars. I meant to say that our anniversary of our website having, the ability to shop from, it started on May 4th, 2021. And so now we have a reason to celebrate two different things. So it's usually going to probably be our anniversary sale. I don't know how long we're going to keep doing that, but we plan on doing it next year. And then we get to celebrate May the 4th. So it's usually somehow, some way Star Wars themed as well. So it's a little bit of fun. And that's fun for me because that's a franchise, one of my favorite of all time. So I'll be looking forward to maybe reaching out to Fitz and having him build us something for next year, maybe.
Better get in line now.
I know, right?
You have me intrigued.
I can't promise, but we've been known to throw around some crazy ideas. Hopefully we can follow through with them. So I will keep you in mind.
All right. Yeah. You know,
that comes up, I'm going to be reaching out.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah.
what to say.
We'll see what comes of it, but we're trying to get to Black Friday right now. So
yeah, I understand.
Well, I'll say, I know the three of us bought a lot of stuff, and I highly recommend it, guys. Do it now anyway if you need it. The two being the Music Wire, etc. ksmetals.com. But I will tell you, I'll get with you to discuss the Camp AMA needs, because push rod wire, good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing too. So since we're talking about just community-based things like that, if you haven't seen it before, we do also have a YouTube channel and a series called KNS Creators Collective. And so we actually, lately it's been more so on like the DIY maker side of things. But it's that channel is meant to be for anybody that really kind of has a relationship to KNS and is doing cool things in either the hobby or the furniture making side of things. Our first episode was with Jimmy DiResta. If you know Jimmy, he's been on TV in several different shows. He had a Netflix show called Making Fun, and he's kind of one of the guys that's been like the godfather of like making things on YouTube and you being able to watch somebody make a table and how they make it. And he's doing some really creative stuff as well as all the other makers and creatives that are on the channel. So for us, if you want to take a look like shop tours and things like that, I host it and just kind of prompt questions about people and their journeys through social media and YouTube and kind of being like an influencer or how they started their business and really where they came up. So that's another cool watch because they're associated with
It leaves in my mind.
This guy here, you need to call afterwards and get Hobby View on your show.
So that's go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'll let you talk. No. Just two things. Yeah, I have my own channel that I do build stuff. And I also belong to a local makerspace as well. Perfect. So when you said maker, that really caught my attention. So I had no idea you had a YouTube channel like that. So I'll have to pass that along to my fellow makerspace people.
Yeah, we slowed down with it a little bit just because my partner in that, Ted, he, like I said, we're all wearing many hats and we all have the love of many different things. So he's had a child in the last year, and then he's got another one on the way. So we had to kind of take a little bit of a step back because of that. But once we kind of get some things, like once we get this website done and once we tidy up a few other things around the business, we plan on stepping back into that world because there's so many different stories. And that's the thing. KNS isn't necessarily the focus of a lot of those videos, but they are with people who know who we are and use us. And so we do dedicate a section of that and maybe their history with KNS and how they came to know us and how they use us. So there's a lot of different components to those videos, but check it out. And then once again, down the line.
Hey, Scott, do you like DeLoreans? Do you like DeLorean, Scott?
I love it.
Why don't you come to Houston? Come see me and Fitz.
All right.
He'll show you his DeLorean. He'll use some KNS metals somewhere on the DeLorean. You can add that footage to your video, and then he'll show you his garage, and I'll never see you again.
I love that, because that's the cool thing about doing that is like you're hitting all my favorite franchises of all time. You know, if it's Star Wars, it's Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. So anytime, yeah.
You got to call your boss and say, this is going to take me longer than I thought. I'll have to be here a couple more days.
So yeah, I'm interested to see more from you guys too. So I can't wait to check more out.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by, Scott. This has been fun.
Yeah. 100%. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm sure I'll be seeing some orders come through at some point in time.
Hey, maybe what we should do, just go ahead and start the code. Let's make up the code right now, the RC Roundtable code, and we'll offer some kind of discount, right? 2% off. Let's make it up. Just make it what
an extra 10% cost.
There you go.
Well,
I did stop there.
I did drop the Black Friday hint, so hopefully that will be fresh in people's minds. So
yeah, thank you. You heard it here first. Black Friday.
You did 100%.
Yes, save your pennies.
Yeah, if you order something in the notes, say the RC Roundtable sent us.
Yeah.
and like I said, you know, keep us informed with what's going on with the community. If there's any opportunities to serve and give back, we always love to do that as well, for having such a strong support over the course of 75 years.
So what's a good email address to reach out to anyone at KNS with either questions about products or ideas for new products, anything like that?
Sure. Typically, you'll find me running this, but support, so SUPPORT, at ksmetals.com. It's a good spot to just start. And, you know, usually I'll filter it to where it needs to go. So if you had a question about, I mentioned the manufacturing custom cut jobs, you know, if you have a question about that, I can get you to the right person to go in more details with that too.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, guys. You have a good one. All right.
All right. See ya.
You too. Thanks so much. Wow. Fantastic. Great.
Yeah.
First podcast. He did excellent. That's
what a wallflower.
Yeah. If only he would open up and speak his mind. I really need to let go.
Well, I'm glad we were able to do that, because Scott and I have been chatting I didn't realize that sale was May the 4th. So we've been chatting for several months now to try to pull it together. But it was mostly our schedules that prevented that, because a lot of our recent episodes have been, hey, you want to record tonight? Okay, let's do it. So this is the first time we've had some planning ahead of time where we could do that with him. So we can check that box.
All right. Thank you for setting that up, Terry.
Yeah, sure. So what do you guys want to talk about next? We're 45 minutes in. We've got a long and distinguished list of things we want to cover. So we can...
Just cut my part out. We don't need me.
No, I want to hear your part. Just don't get sappy and emotional. Get some tissues now.
I'm kind of concerned if we talk about the second topic, I'm going to get off and pretty angry, since you already started it with your little name right there.
Yeah. Well, my call sign tonight is Rid Schmid. So we're on the cusp of the Rid rule going into effect.
Next month, right?
Yeah.
There's not much to talk about. Everybody knows how we feel about it. I think most people know what it's about. I guess one of the things we had here was a new product. And just today, Horizon released their RID module, which I've actually done some research on this stuff recently. So I'm somewhat aware of the RID module offerings. You know, let's just cover it for the people who've been living under a rock and don't know.
What does RID stand for?
Remote ID. And if you're not
remote ID, what is that?
If you're not flying at a FRIA, which is an FAA recognized inclusion area? No. What is identification area? That's what it is. If you're not flying at an AMA club that has had their FRIA request approved, then
approved. Hint, hint. Sorry.
I think there's still some question for clubs who have it pending. They've submitted the request, but they haven't heard back yet. So if they still don't have an answer on September 16th, are they supposed to have a module? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I had one other thing too. Does it apply to aircraft under 250 grams?
No.
Okay.
So if it's under 250 grams, you don't have to register it. You don't have to
No
put
matter
a
where you
module
fly.
in it.
Okay.
Right. So basically, there's a handful of off-the-shelf modules that are available. They are not all created equal. I assumed that many companies would be aiming for the bare minimum because that's what most modelers want. I only want the smallest, lightest widget to satisfy this dumbass rule at the lowest cost. What do I do? That there's very few of those out there that I've seen. I think the two most practical ones that I've seen are the one from Flight Test and this new one from Horizon. And of those, the Horizon one seems more practical because it has a box around it. The Flight Test one is just a bared PCB from the looks of it.
This one seems a little more finessed, or what we want to call it, polished. Now, make a mention that we saw them both at Oshkosh at the EA Adventure. They had them both on display.
Yep. So talking about the Spectrum Sky ID module, it's Bluetooth 4, Bluetooth 5, outputs a signal. I could list all the things that it does, but there is no personal information in that link. So yes, people on their phone with the RID app can receive your signal and know where you're flying from, but they won't know your name and your address and your mother's maiden name and all that stuff. But related to that, when you buy one of these, you register the serial number and model of your RID module with your FAA registration account. So when your friendly local law enforcement officer receives your RID signal, they can cross-reference your registration number with all that personal information.
So are you allowed to transpose the module from different models?
Yes, you theoretically could have one RID module and move it from airplane to airplane. There's lots of fine print on all this, but yeah. And then with something like this Sky ID, it's powered conceivably through the receiver. I think it has different patch cables where one of them is the standard 3-pin that goes into your receiver like a servo, and it can be powered from that. I forget what the voltage range is, but like 4 to a jillion volts. I think most people will just plug it into an empty slot on the receiver. So then the question becomes, how accessible is your receiver? If you're switching it between two models and you have to remove a wing to do that. I mean, all of this is under the umbrella that this whole rule is stupid and unnecessary and a burden and is not going to help anything. So we get that, and we're not arguing any of that. But if you're just trying to not make a point and go to jail for something this stupid, here's one approach to satisfy that.
I don't see people airdropping contraband into prisons using this RFID module.
Right. So I'm sure all the criminals are buying them while they're on sale to outfit their illegal drones. So anyway, this one, from what I've seen, is the most practical. And one thing that surprised me is some of the lighter, cheaper RID modules that are out there, and they seem to be made in Europe. They don't include the GPS component. So they can only be used if you have a drone or some other device that has GPS already integrated into it, and the module will talk to that GPS. So if you just go to the list, I think the FAA has a list out there. If you're only going by the price, you might pick one that doesn't have what you need. So again, from the small cursory check that I've done, the Spectrum one seems to be the most practical unit for people who just want to satisfy this stupid, dumbass, needless rule without going to jail.
I want to find one kind of nice thing about it, though, is that since it has, at least the Spectrum one has the GPS in it, and that can also be passed through telemetry, it would make a really good lost model finder.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that silver lining, Fitz.
Damn.
So when you get there, the FAA will be waiting for you.
well,
you're looking for this?
All right, so I think the list price is $99.99. Call it $100. The intro price is what, $70, $69.99.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, it sucks. It is what it is. But if you're wanting to play the game, that's one reasonable option to an unreasonable game. Lee, come on. You've done well biting your tongue. Is there anything you need to say? I don't want you to explode.
For those of you who are within listening range.
Lee's mom, turn the podcast off right now. Come back in 15 minutes.
It's who I am. I unfortunately let things get to me, you think? Surprise. And I'm happy to see that there are people supporting the AMA on the internet right now, because the remote ID stuff, specifically because Spectrum has been pushing out this module like this week. And today I saw tons of retailers sharing the link, and then people are just going off on every post. But someone posted it on the iFly AMA group, which is an AMA supported group. And this guy just tore into the AMA with his title saying the AMA is to blame for this, blah, 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 blah. But it does bother me that people are willing to give up their AMA membership thinking we had something to do with this. And what I always wish we could do is give the direct email addresses for the idiots who have been pushing this down our throats. You know, like those people that hide behind the name Defense Department or FAA, who are the ones who are really tightening the belt on us and giving us denials for clubs that have been flying for years, that will not change the safety risk of the flying site by adding this stupid little piece of plastic into their aircraft. You know,
amen, brother.
Fitz, I applaud you for your the light at the end of the tunnel idea. So it's brilliant. It's completely thrown me off my little soapbox here, because that is a great idea. But the fact is that the FAA thinks this is the solution for risk, for what do you call it, mitigating risk for full-scale aircraft, avoiding little model airplanes that have been flying in the same damn place for years.
Yeah,
okay?
In fact,
or
it doesn't,
parts for the same.
Yeah, the fact it doesn't connect with ADS-B was one big clue that this really wasn't for safety, at least in that context.
You guys are just going to mute me or stop me, because I know I'm a broken record here. But I'm working with a field right now that's been denied because they're too close to an airport. Well, they actually fly on an airport, and they have a letter of agreement with the airport. But some pencil pusher or return key clicker, whatever we would call it, delete key clicker at the FAA, who probably just got pulled off the street to say, hey, would you like a job for $15 an hour? To make the decision that doesn't look right. They shouldn't be flying where their airplanes are, and then just hit the denial key, which then makes this remote ID module suddenly and magically have everybody who's flying there okie dokie. And the big fear we have, the risk disappears. You're exactly right. It's insane. But the next level that could take, and it's, again, can't blame the AMA for this, is what if the FAA says, you know what, we really don't want anybody flying there. Now we're going to put SFRs. Or now we're going to forbid you guys from flying there.
Wait, what was SFR?
SFR, yeah. Safety flight restriction. Secure flight restriction, like DC.
So you can't fly there, period.
So you can't fly anywhere.
A no-fly zone, basically.
A no-fly zone, exactly. Not a TFR, not a temporary one, but actually, no, you can't go there.
Right. And to be clear, from the standpoint of the three of us, it's not about the $100 for the module. It's not about $5 for registration. And it's not about the half ounce that the thing weighs. It's not about any of those technical things. It's really about the incursion of the FAA into things that just aren't helping. And the big picture is that all these little things that they're chipping away make it tougher for the kids who are interested in this stuff to get involved. And you can chart that. If you chart RC aircraft sales, when registration hit, boom, there was a cliff there. And I just imagine when RID hits, there's going to be another cliff of sales, which suggests that kids who would be getting into models because they're interested in aviation and might go on to a career as a pilot or an engineer or something, this is scaring them away for no benefit whatsoever. And so,
none. And actually, you mentioned something earlier. People with a device that can see the signal, the Bluetooth 4 or 5 signal, we could have a risk of several Karens on our hands. Not that they know who we are, but just saying, I picked up a drone flying too close to me. I need you guys to come do something about it.
Yeah, I guess there's that. I don't worry so much about that aspect because I think the range of the Bluetooth stuff is going to be visual line of sight anyway in most cases. And so they were going to see you flying that thing with or without the signal. So I don't know if that risk is any increased because of this, but I won't poo-poo it completely. So anyway, should we move on to happier things?
Did Fitz want to add anything else to that? Mr. Too Hexy for my cat?
Too hexy for my cat.
Yeah, I got the reference. No, there's nothing like useful I could add to it.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's what Horizon should have done. They should have advertised this as a lost model finder. Definitely not a remote ID.
Well, you know what, Fitz? You could at least call them and say, hey, because you can't sell anymore because no one's buying them, hey, let's paint them a different color and change the name. It's brilliant.
It'll make your airplane go faster. It'll charge your batteries on flight.
Yeah.
Fitz, you got to come up with a good name and a good little slogan for it, and it's done, man.
The Find Me module.
All right. Speaking of Horizon, they did announce a new product. Was it last Tuesday or Thursday? That SR-71. Very interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting that they had a teaser and they had like a snake, a habu.
Right.
And I have to admit, as an airplane geek, I never knew that the SR-71 was called the habu.
Oh, really?
It was always called the Blackbird, right? Where did the habu come from?
Yeah, I was confused a little bit because I saw that snake, which looks like the traditional habu symbol, but their regular EDF, their sport EDF, is called a habu. So
right.
Are they getting me here? But they already had a small habu. Anyway, so it's a smallish SR-71. It appears to be the same power system of twin 40-millimeter fans of the F-14. That I have down in my shop,
which motivated F-14 pretty good. So
it does. I forgot what 500 something watts. It's just ridiculous how much power those things put out on a 4-cell. Yeah.
Wow.
So my first thought with this, because if you guys remember talking about the F-14, my main concern was that all gray color scheme is just stinking hard to see sometimes on a small airplane that moves that quick.
Yeah.
And then of course an SR-71 is all black all the time.
It's just a silhouette.
Yep. So I find it interesting that it comes with two sets of vertical stabs, one all black, one bright red. So I'm sure that's meant to address visibility issues.
For you.
For me, yeah. I like to think that I had some influence on that. There it is.
Look at that. Yeah, it's got details. I like the cones on the engine inlets. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. It's a for real EDF, I guess.
And they're real titanium.
Yeah.
Does it really leak fuel too?
Oh, that's very interesting. So what is the forward swept area with those inlet ducts? And does it matter?
Fan swept area.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's impressive that they got that good performance and they've got those cones and an intake. That's unless they got some cheater holes somewhere, maybe. But
yeah, the videos of it look pretty impressive.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's got AS3X on it.
Yeah, and I assume it has some sort of programming like the F-14 did that just kind of limits how sharply it can turn. Is that with a delta like this, you can get yourself in trouble pulling sharp turns.
Oh yeah,
kill a lot of energy real fast. But
behind a power curve.
Yeah,
drag curve.
And somewhat scale landing gear. I think it's like the F-14. You just plug it in or out. It's not actual retracts.
Yeah, that's what I read. That's what I interpreted when I read it.
Yeah, but the triple mains with the aluminum-looking finish on them. So it does have some neat scale features.
Yeah, it's really surprised at that. Yeah, the landing gear looks great, actually. Look at that.
Yeah.
Even though it's not retractable, it's pretty cool looking.
Well, yeah, it looks great on the ground, but when you have an SR-71 in the air, you want it all cleaned up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it is interesting. I look forward to seeing one in person. Fitz, is there one in your mailbox? They're not released yet. Yeah, it's pre-order now. Does it say when they expect them?
Should be in the top, isn't it? October.
Okay.
Next shipment, October 2023.
and a 4-cell 2200.
Just like the F-14.
Yep. So that's what makes me think it's just the same system in different foam.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Common components.
Sure. And $250, and that's bind and fly. So yeah. It's interesting when I saw the product announcement posts on Facebook or something, a lot of people like vocally poo-pooing it, and then other people who are excited to see it. So I'm not sure why people take personal offense when they release a plane they don't like.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. They have not only take personal offense, they got to go online and type it out. I take personal offense of this. Okay. I take personal offense of you taking personal offense.
Right. Of course, that's coming from the 3 guys who just bashed the red module. And
Well, yeah, it's the internet.
The irony is not lost on us.
Well, like while y'all were talking, I was on a forum saying, I take personal offense from this Spectrum remote ID module.
I'll tell you, sir.
Me.
I demand satisfaction. Although, of any planet that needs probably safe mode, it's probably that plane.
Yeah. Well, this is not the first SR-71 model by any stretch.
No, it isn't.
Apparently, Yellow Aircraft used to make one, right, Lee?
They did.
Yeah. Did you see? I saw a post on Buddy Tom.
Yeah. There were 2 of those bad boys, I think, right?
Yep. And so there's been some foamies, like 64 millimeter EDFs. Wasn't there the rocket launch version for a long time?
Yes. Our buddy Tom said he had an involvement in the development of that.
Okay.
Kit. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a complete mystery. They've been around, but yeah, I just think the all black is a big hurdle for a lot of people.
So was there like a tiger meat SR-71 or something?
Right.
What you could do is probably paint it as a YF-12. I mean, it's not exact, but that had like a silver and black paint scheme, right?
Yeah. Right. So, if the Jamaican Air Force flew SR-71s, what would it look like?
It'd be Jamin Man.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move on past that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of hosting this thing. I didn't mean to take over.
Go ahead.
You're doing great.
Right. Thanks, guys. So next on the list is Lee. Do you have the tissues ready?
Lee went somewhere and did something, and then came back.
Yeah. 4 people went, 3 came back.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I'll just show you that photo. One of these kids is no longer in my house. Can you pick the one? By the way, this was for National Model Aviation Day.
Yeah, that kind of stuck up on me this year.
August 12th. I don't know if you guys got to experience it, but I took my boys out to our club in 100+ degree weather.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like, I live vicariously through you, but I'm not going to be out there in 800
But
degree weather.
It really wasn't too bad. It was actually it was okay because we had shade and we had a good time together. So I'm glad we all went out and had a good time. Unfortunately, both of my planes that I brought came back with pieces not in the same place that they were before, which is unfortunate, but repairable.
Was it
Fitz.
weather related?
No. The P-38 I'm holding, this is that cheap Banana Hobbies that I bought for $20 that was damaged, and that's a brand new tail. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I redid the whole tail on that thing, and I don't have landing gear on it, so when I landed, it kind of bounced a bit, and it broke the mounts on one of the engines. It's not bad. It's repairable. Right. But Fitz, do you remember when we were at Joe Nall, I had my T-33 flying, and I experienced an LVC, and it kind of landed far away, but it wasn't too bad because it was just, it's like a glider. It's a motor glider. Yeah.
This is the Kyosho T-33?
Yeah, this Kyosho. So I brought it out to fly and had 2 LVCs. And at this point, I just kind of realized that the motor I've got in there, that mega motor, is just pulling way too many amps for that Jetty ESC. So it's either heat related or it's too much power. So I just, decided
to heat related.
Huh?
Which is heat related.
Well,
so far overheats and shuts down.
Well, where is the ESC located?
Well, heat. True, I understand what you're saying, but it could be. Okay, let's not even get into that. The point is, either the ESC is damaged or I'm driving too many amps through it. So we'll just leave it at that. But I was having some problems, so I'm just going to replace it. Get a 150 amp ESC in that.
There you go.
Show.
overkill.
So what was your question, Terry? Did you have a question?
Well, I was just asking where the ESC is located. Is it in the exit? Does it have all that high-speed air going over, or is it buried?
It does.
In the foam?
It does,
Okay.
and it's just, but that those jetties have that really hefty blue plastic.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing, Fitz? I'm sorry. Did I say something funny?
I was thinking it's so hot outside, just blowing hot air over it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
How am I funny to you?
I'm going to put my Joe
air
Pesci
cooling
on
just
you.
doesn't work anymore.
Oh boy, you guys! I don't feel like talking anymore.
Well, I'm glad
you.
I'm glad you got it back on the ground.
Yeah. So I say, no problems, no harm. Just I'll replace the ESC.
All right.
So
but that's not the story we're talking about.
I know. So I'm going to start right now. So what we're going to talk about is this place.
Okay.
Ooh, is that
Terry, you know what it is?
No,
where
because it
this-
looks nothing like it did when I was
Is
there.
that where the Super Friends meet?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, Hall of Justice. That's it. Yeah.
Sorry. Every time I see that, I'm going to say that. Of course, he has no idea. But what Terry was leading up to after all that bashing and ESC, I love you guys. My son is currently stationed at Embry-Riddle Daytona. He is in his dorm. He is set up, and I don't know if I can go to the next picture here. Does my arrows work? No. So let me get out of my old screen here. But that's Austin.
All right.
That's in his dorm, and he's got his little planes there, and he's already flown, Terry. He already took his little night vapor and flew it down a hallway. So he's set.
So it's funny. I sent this picture to another buddy of mine who's a Riddle alumni, and we met in the dorms. And his first comment was, "What the hell? Where's all that room come from?
Right.
Such big rooms."
Yeah, so the dorms look different. The Hall of Justice wasn't there, so it is obviously a lot different. But what blew my mind is you emailed a fight song to us the other day.
Oh yeah,
there was no fight song.
Yeah, there was no fighting at Riddle. There's no sports at Riddle.
It also appears there were no women at Riddle when you were there, and it's completely changed now.
All right. Well, no, we did have a good basketball team when I was there. And
That's true. Yeah, we did the basketball and like soccer or something or cricket.
I don't know about that. And one of my roommates played on the baseball team, and I think they were pretty good. But basketball was the main sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no fight song. And I was on the pet band for the basketball team. So if there was a fight song, we would have known it. So that's some concoction that's new.
Yeah.
You want to sing it for us, Lee?
Absolutely not. I have no idea what it is. I just saw the lyrics. But you got to
should have a flight song instead of a fight song.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Yuck. So I just want to point out that
I thought the Air Force theme was our fight song.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, or Top Gun.
So he brought his Icon A5. He likes it a lot. His 3D printer, which is currently broken, is inside his little 3D printer noise canceling room, little foam board thing he's got there. He's got his toolkits right here that have his soldering iron, and he's got his met wrench here somewhere, his little toolkit that I gave him. But guys, he's already got flight radar up.
I saw that.
And he's already, tracking all the planes that are out there in Daytona. So
yeah, it'll be a lot to track. Good, should be highly entertained for hours.
No kidding. So he's there. His roommate is a fellow high school marching band player. He's there for his pilot's license or aviation science, aeronautical science. Yeah. And then my friend growing up in elementary school, her son is going to Embry-Riddle, and he is in the room next door.
Ah, crazy.
Man.
So was that just coincidence?
It is. We saw them at one of the what do you call the little meetings? It was in Houston.
Orientation or something, or
meet and greet. Meet and greet, I guess. So just happened to see her post on Facebook and noticed they were coming to town. So we've been keeping in touch, and now my wife and her have been texting directly, and I'm not involved anymore. I've lost my friend. But things are going well. Their fourth roommate is from California, but his parents, they're empty nesters, so they went ahead and moved to Florida. And they did that about 3 months ago. So now they're closer to their son, and our kids have a place to go if hurricane comes or if they need something.
Yep.
What, Terry? Fitz?
If it hits the fan, they have somewhere to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Austin has his car. We let him take his car, although that was kind of one of those little debates that people have had online where they should have or not. But I was like, I want Austin to have his car so he can go flying or run some errands and help other people out. So I think all is good. He starts school next week.
He's gonna be popular with the car.
Yeah, I hope so with the ladies.
Yeah.
Hey, can I take you a ride in my Highlander? Used to be my mom's car. It's got a hatch in the back. So he's it was hard. It's hard to let my flying buddy go, but he should be good. And we took a long drive. I mean, I say a long drive, but we went ahead and pulled an all-nighter, Fitz. And I know I promised I wouldn't do that again, but we left Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. and through all our little adventures, because this is my next screen that I have up, we stopped by the Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola.
Yeah, fantastic museum. And it's open again because it was closed for a while, I understand.
That's what I heard. So just some quick pictures. That's for you, Fitz.
Yeah, that's George.
George.
Yep. Yeah. Look at that baby. Yes.
And there's a B-25, although they don't call it a B-25. Do you remember what the code is for the naval version?
Yeah,
PBJ something or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh yeah.
PB&J.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. So we're talking about it at Oshkosh.
So obviously Ryan had to go see his B-25.
I see a zero tail and seeing from the ceiling.
Oh, I already sent you that photo, so you can't have them all. But is it in a Crusader right there? Don't you have one of those?
Yes, F8 Crusader, yeah.
Yeah. But this thing has skis on it. Did you see it?
Okay.
C-47 or whatever it is in the Navy.
Yeah.
The nose looks different too.
So Lockwood nose, yeah.
Yeah, something going on with the nose.
Look at that. Love my Grumman Tiger Cat.
Yeah. Hey, what's that in the back? It's got 4 engines. It looks like a
seaplane of some sort. Coronado.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a
Coronado. I think it is correct.
Coronado.
Yeah, I think he's
it's like a PBY with extra engines.
But guys, I got to tell you, this Curtis Hawk, and me putting on the screen doesn't know justice. I've said this before. I don't know if we had the podcast back then, but I literally walked up to the nose of that plane and stood there staring at it. People must have thought I was like asleep or something because I was like this close. But the quality of this paint job and these little, I'm gonna say pins. What do you call them? Panel pins or something? I don't know. Can you see this little? It's a metal wire that goes through little clips, like a hood clip,
like a piano hinge.
No, not a hinge.
No. You know, like hood clips. You know, where you get to put
the
little in there.
Okay, like cotter pin kind of thing.
Cotter pin. Well, every one of these little lines right here holds that cowl on. And it's just a work of art. And I'm sad that this plane is in the back of the museum because it should be dead center with a beautiful light on it.
If I recall, that's a very rare plane to see. I don't think there's hardly any of those around.
F6C Hawk. And if you ever, this is it. If you ever go to this museum, go way in the back. Like they call it the West Side, and go stare at this Curtis Hawk. It is a masterpiece of a refurbished or rebuild.
Wow.
And the paint is amazing. I mean, they must have sat there and wet sanded that thing to a spit shine. And it's beautiful.
It's fabric, so it's probably doped.
Well, this isn't. This is all metal.
Oh, the cowl. Yeah.
This whole setup here is just beautiful. So anyway, beautiful Curtis Hawk if you go to the museum. But also, if you go to the museum and you're from Texas and you carry a pistol with you at all times, you can't go on the naval base.
Imagine that.
I wonder why.
So just to share my experience, which is a funny story, we drive up to through a different entrance we had been before, and they had a huge check-in station. So they had officers on duty. And when we pulled up, they said, what are you here for? We said, the museum. Says, do you have any weapons or firearms in your vehicle? I said, yes. And they said, I'm sorry, you can't come on the base, but if you go back a couple of miles, there's Jim's gun shop. You can go back there, drop off your stuff, yada, yada. And my wife was just rolling her eyes. She goes, you brought your... I was like, of course I did. And so...
because Florida, man.
No big deal. We turned around, went to the shop, beautiful gun shop. Ryan went in there. He's like, "Oh, Dad, look, we can get this. We can get that." I was like, I'm just gonna finish. But there was another person in the shop doing the same thing I was doing. They were putting their firearm in a bag, and we also dropped off our knives, our pocket knives and stuff. And someone at the counter just said this, and we both heard it. It says, "It's always the Texans with the firearms." We just started laughing, but no big deal. We dropped it off. When we went back, there was a change of officers. So these two new guys are there, and I said, "Hello, I just came back from the gun shop. They told me to hand you this receipt." And he says, "Okay, thank you very much." He goes, "So," and he looked at me. He was very serious. He goes, "So you're telling me that if I stop you right now and open up your vehicle and search for weapons, I will not find any? Because if I do, it's a felony." And I was like, "No, because I left everything back there at the gun shop." He goes, "All right, we can go through." But it was like, wow, they're very, very serious about it.
Or you could have joined the Navy.
I said, yeah, if you don't want to drop off your gun, would you like to sign up? But,
all right.
Yeah, it's a nice museum. It's
really is.
Forgot to even mention the big part. It's the home of the Blue Angels. So they have the A4s hanging from the ceiling. We did not get to go outside. We only were there for a couple of hours because they were closing. So there's a lot more to see outside as well. And sometimes they put on shows during practice. So they actually have stands out there you can just sit at and watch them perform.
Cool. And then you left from there and just drove straight through to Houston?
Drove straight through to Houston. Got here at 2 a.m.
That's a lot of I-10, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of I-10. I will say, happy to say we did not hit any road construction or vehicle wrecks.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
So actually, I stopped in Biloxi, filled up, and I made it all the way home.
Really?
In that Suburban.
Must be downhill.
With a tailwind.
50-mile-an-hour tailwind.
All right, cool. So Austin's at school, starts classes soon. You've got an extra room to put a workshop in at your house now.
Yeah.
Store some planes.
You should go in there and find all the tools you've been missing.
Well, we already picked up a lot of socks that were hidden about and clothes that were, in chairs and stuff. And so we've already cleaned up that room and vacuumed it. But I will, in fact, I am going to do this, move some of his planes from my workshop into his room and just leave them there.
Yeah.
So rightly so.
Yep. All right. Well, I wish him all the best in his new endeavor. So I think he's at the right place.
Yeah, I'll need you guys to call him every now and then, tell him to study.
Yeah. Turn off the 3D printer.
Exactly.
3D printer and turn on the book.
He'll listen to you guys.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite part was I called Fitz and I was telling him about the visit. And I said, Terry keeps telling me that there were no girls there. And Cindy says the ratio is 30-70. And I was like, I was there. It must have been 40-60. Because there were tons of girls wherever we were walking. And
you sure you didn't pull it to DBCC or something?
No, Fitz was like, "What?" He was like so angry. He was like, "What do you mean there's all those girls?" And when I wasn't in the room, when I was getting stuff from the car, Austin, I guess, just jokingly told my wife that he goes, maybe I'll find a girlfriend here who's a pilot. so he can just go fly, with his girlfriend. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I don't know what the policy is now, but when I was there, you could, as a student, you could just sign up to ride in the back seat of any instruction flight.
No more.
If there was an empty seat, you could just hop on.
Yeah. I said the same thing to Lee because I did that once or twice.
Yeah.
That's when I first got to experience stalls in an aircraft.
Yeah.
Get my stomach out of my throat.
Yeah. A lot of, watch this.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad they don't do that anymore. What was the liability thing or something?
Yeah, probably so.
That sucks.
I will fill in some updates in a couple of months. We'll see how. See if I can share some stuff. Oh, and this is RC related, so I'll share this with you guys. So one thing I'd like him to do is the design build fly program that they have there, similar to SAE Aero Design. And both Austin and I got to see some of the planes that they built this year, or I say last year, this year, at Embry-Riddle during AirVenture. They had the planes on display, and Embry-Riddle Daytona came in third out of 100 colleges internationally. So I really hope he can get on the team. Fitz made a good point, and I also told it to Austin. I said, it's kind of like band as a freshman. You probably won't get to perform on the field. You may be moving props, or you may be doing something else, which is what he did. But it made him a better performer. So I said, just offer some help, assistance in the first year. Just be helpful to the team, and then maybe you can work your way into leading it. And I said, but I'd love to see you do that.
Well, if our experience at the SAE Air Design is any indicator, there's a shortage of skilled student pilots. So I feel like that skill alone will help his chances.
I hope so.
All right, cool. Good luck, Austin.
Yeah, best of luck to you.
No, I take that back. There's no such thing as luck in this. Work hard, Austin. Make us proud.
Or else.
Or else, yeah.
Yep, you'll have to do that. It's not a party school, so you'll have to work.
Oh, you say that again.
Well, maybe it is now with those girls.
When you were there, yeah. You were there. Those girls not a party now. Oh,
now they have internet.
Wow. Well,
and Wi-Fi.
I don't want to take too much of the conversation, but I had so much fun talking to Fitz the other night on the phone, and we were looking at a Google map of Embry-Riddle now, and he was talking about the buildings that existed, and then I had him go look at like 360 views, and he was like, "Oh wow, look at that!" Because we didn't have anything like that. So,
yeah, this is Club Med compared to what we had
at Club Med prices too. So,
oh yeah, that too.
Yeah. All right, I have no regrets.
No, it was a great school. I had a great time there. No regrets at all.
And you mentioned DBCC, Daytona Beach Community College.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore, at least not under that name. I think they changed the name, or I don't know. But yeah, when I was visiting family there not long ago, I figured that out.
Oh, okay.
So anybody who lives in Volusia County, update us on what happened to DBCC.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I knew quite one of my roommates went there, and he was always bringing home girls. And he was like, "Where these girls come from?"
First year at Riddle, I lived in the dorms there, and obviously Riddle didn't have a music program, so I joined the community concert band that was at DBCC, and I would do that like once a week and go over there. So I was a student at both for a short while. That was fun.
Yeah. And there's a lot of international students there for some reason.
At DBCC?
Yeah.
Oh.
We were there, yeah.
Yeah, I think at the time the MTV Spring Break allure was still clinging by a thread.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's since gone away, but there was a lot of that then. So, yeah, that's my theory.
I don't think Austin, my little pale white boy, is going to spend, and redhead, a lot of time on the beach. So,
never know.
Yeah.
There were some sand dunes we tried to slope soar off of.
Yeah. Can you just put tape on your glasses and do that for me, Fitz? That's just during the MTV, scantily clad women over here, we were slope soaring over on the dunes over here.
Damn straight. I didn't care about some floozies taking your shirt off. I would have flown airplanes. All right, anyways.
Yeah, that's probably a good segue. Speaking of floozies,
Fitz? Is that Fitz? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a swap meet floozy.
All right.
So
tell us all about it.
So
no, you better talk about the things you found at a swap meet I wasn't at. You better touch on that. I was so mad getting your texts, but continue.
Yeah, I was at the Richardson. I actually have some pictures if you want me to present.
Oh, if you have them, sure.
Yeah, I'll pull up some pictures. Give me 1 second. There we go. Load that.
Johnny on the spot there,
I was gonna
Fitz.
say, do we play some music?
No. Give me a second. This computer is not the fastest thing in the world. Share screen.
Have you noticed, Terry, that we, and listeners, that Fitz looks and sounds great because he's in the house. We still haven't run that Cat 6 to his garage yet. I got to do that.
Yeah, the fullness of time.
Yeah, maybe not in August.
Yeah, exactly. How come it's not showing?
Yeah, because if we ran fiber, it would have melted.
Yeah. All right, just for you, Lee.
Ah,
P-38s. There was so many P-38s there. They were you're practically stepping on them.
I know.
All over the place. One time you didn't go. This caught my eye. This bad boy was awesome. It was big. Looking at Airwolf RC model, it was guy was selling. It was nice, big 800 size.
Ooh, flybarless.
Blue Thunder rolls.
Flybarless, yeah. So here's we're looking at a wide view of the venue, which is
Man, nice turnout.
They sold out all the tables. I think they said about 170 tables, if I remember correctly. And they were
so what swap meet was this?
This is a Richardson RC swap meet.
This is one we talked about the last episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Lee and I have been to this one several times. It was a spawn off the. They had another swap meet. What was the one? What was it called? Do you remember, Lee? Before this one, the one where they had the issue with they had to move. Oh, I can't remember.
Not Weatherford.
No, not Weatherford. There's another one. I don't think it was Richardson though. Well, anyways, so this one has turned out to be one of the better ones, if not one of the best ones in the Texas area. And he told the president, Curtis, made mention that since they sold out last year and this year, he's going to look to expand the tables for next year. So look for even more tables to be available next year. The show should be bigger and better as well, because there's room in the venue for more tables and stuff. They just didn't have them, so they're going to make sure that they rectify that next year. I don't know have attendance numbers, but it was quite busy. Lots of good deals ahead.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
Okay, so this gentleman came up to me, and I'm wearing an RC Roundtable shirt. So
wait, did he say, "Do you know Lee Ray"?
No, Terry's name came up, as a matter of fact. He said he really liked our show, and he had been listening for a while, and he made note that he said Terry was an acquired taste.
Sounds like my mother.
Which I thought was hilarious. I said, "Hey, can I have permission to take your picture and tell him that?" He goes, "Hey, sure." But you know, for bygones, he says he likes you just quite fine. He
has acquired me.
You're an acquired taste, and he's acquired you. He said just at first that your brand of humor was singular.
You're like cough syrup.
But he made it for it because he found something he thought you would like, and I now have.
Oh, no way. Are we going to see that?
No.
Oh,
surprise. But it's small. I can mail it to you or something.
Okay, thanks.
And you can talk about it. But yeah, he found something and said, "Hey, Terry would really like this." And it's right up his alley. And I said, "You're right." And so there's a little bit of story about that. When you get it, we'll talk about the story. But real nice guy, fellow. Just a few things we saw. These guys, these were not for sale, but they were on display. These are combat warships. They have BB guns in them.
Oh.
And so they just had them on display as a local group to say, "Hey, we just wanted to show people about warship combat." So that was pretty cool to see one with all the guts hanging out. This is somebody we all know, and some guy was selling satellites for Spectrums for a real good price, and so he bought like half a dozen of them or so. What is that? 7, 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are just Spectrum satellites. Well, I think there's one receiver, but they're all Spectrum satellites. I thought that was funny. Because he uses them a lot, and so I can tell you offline who it is, but we all know who it is.
Well, there's applications where that can be your receiver. Like if you have a flight controller in your model, like a lot of the Flex Innovation stuff.
Oh, yes, you're right.
So that takes the place of a normal receiver for that.
Yeah, he said he used them a lot. A lot of times the models use multiple of those, so that was a great deal for him to find them for dirt cheap price.
Yeah,
basically doing a package. This I thought was neat. An old Orbit controller.
Yeah.
These, I bet it has vacuum tubes in it, and it's got these switches and buttons. There's no joint, there's no gimbals. It's just press a button to do something.
Yeah.
This would look kind of a fancier one because it's got a bunch of button switches on it. I don't know what he was asking for it. I wasn't interested in buying it, but I just thought it was neat. Another neat thing you see is this guy had an autographed picture of the Voyager. This is the plane that flew around the world without nonstop.
And we saw it at AirVenture in the EA Museum.
Yeah, it's in the EA Museum. And it's autographed. I know you can see, but it's autographed by Dick Rutan and Jenna Yeager. So, and it had a bunch of some odds and ends, a nameplate, I guess from the aircraft or from the engine, I think they said. Sorry, it's a little blurry. Some postcards and stuff. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you didn't expect to see this at a swap meet.
He was selling it?
He was selling it. It was, not cheap, but he was selling it. Yeah.
Huh. That's something you could put on your mantle.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. I wasn't willing to shell out the money for it, but I thought it was still really, really cool.
Yeah.
Where else can you get VCR tapes of the space program as well?
Yeah.
Cool. Terry, does this look familiar?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
So I know the history of that model. This is a built-up pseudo space shuttle. Okay, so wow, I'm blown away right now. So Fitz, you tell me your side of it, and I can tell you as much background as you want.
Unfortunately, the guy wasn't around, and I kept missing him, so I wasn't able to talk to him about it or see what he wanted for or what. But because it was just kind of sitting there being lonely, I said, "Can I recognize it too?" I was like, "What's it doing up here?" And I thought it might make a neat project to see if it could fly or something. But I kept getting sidetracked and never got around to talking to the guy.
Yeah, that deserves to be finished. All right, so I'll give a quick synopsis of it. When I lived in Houston, I was friends with a guy. His name was Al Hall, and he worked as a model maker in the NASA workshop somewhere. So he made static models of things. Superb craftsman. He was building a full-scale Minimax in his living room, and he lived in a townhouse. So this thing took up his whole living room. But every screw had the slots aligned. I mean, everything was just perfect on this thing. And he built models with the same level of precision. And he was just getting to RC when I met him, so I helped him get over some of the hurdles of gearing his drive for a glider and other things like that, helped him learn to fly a little bit. And anyway, he, at the same time, was working on a new design for a spacecraft, which involved, it was kind of a shuttle-like design, but it also included a lifting body. And you can see that here. And as part of that, he had built a foam prototype, and I helped him fly that. We test flew it out at the JSC RC field. And this was version 2 of that. And he built this one out of balsa. And you can't see it here, but it's got delta wings that plug in. Each rib on that delta wing is a truss structure made out of, I think it's 1/8" square balsa. So these things are just meticulously made. And it's a shame to put covering on this thing because it is such a work of art. All of these fuselage formers are individually cut, and you can see the stringers in there. And it was designed to have an electric motor in the nose just to get it airborne for testing, and then it would glide back down as a full-scale orbiter would do. I forget the reason why. I think he was moving from Houston to somewhere else, and he gave me this model. And so I kept it around for a while. Yeah, it was in my workshop for a few years. And I fully intended to get it going. And like so many of my projects, it just sat on the back burner. And then when I moved from Houston, I was like, if I put this thing in a moving truck, it's going to be destroyed. So I gave it to someone in Houston, and it's killing me right now that I can't remember who I gave it to. But apparently it changed hands at least one more time. And here it is, however many miles away up in the Dallas area.
That's a interesting story.
So yeah, this is a very unique model with a very personal history that, wow, I'm shocked right now.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to find out who was selling it. The table was abandoned most of the time, so but
okay,
yeah.
Well, we have lots of listeners in the area. Anybody out there who knows the current state of this shuttle model, let us know. I'd be interested to hear about it.
For those of you listening, go to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, you gotta go to YouTube to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
go to about 1:30 in our recording.
And yeah, maybe we can get it back in the hands of somebody who will put it in the air.
Yeah. Love to see it. Glad I worked on it. Beautiful model.
Yeah, it has a vertical stab too that plugged in. I don't see that here. Maybe it's somewhere else, or maybe it got lost.
Yeah, I don't know if it lost on the table.
But yeah, it's a big airplane. There's no scale to it here, but it's a big model. But it weighs nothing. It's
really light, probably 5 feet long, maybe ish. Yeah, there's nobody standing next to it to show, but yes, it's big.
So man,
but unfortunately, it wouldn't have fit in my car because of this.
Oh my gosh. So you bought things.
Well, yes and no. So this is a Fokker D7, big it's like 90-inch wingspan, something like that, or is it 60?
That's a big fucker.
Yeah, it's a big fucker. And though ironically, it's not mine.
Okay.
So I had a couple of fellow club members up there, and he calls me up and says, "Do you have room in your car for an airplane?" Like, huh? And so what happened is, two of the clubmates carpooled up, but they just took a regular car, ostensibly so they didn't plan on really buying anything big and prevent them from buying anything big. And this guy got it for such a good deal that he bought it. And so I said, yeah, I think I have room in my car, even with my other stuff. And so as you see, it did fit. But it wasn't much room for anything else after it fit. So he got a hell of a steal on this. Really, really good deal. Really nicely built, really interesting. I don't know what kit it is, or if it's scratch built or what, but it's a big mother. It takes a 50 to 60 cc gas engine. And it was scratch built or plans built by somebody. It's got painted on a lozenge pattern.
Oh, that's painted on?
That's all painted. Every single bit of it over a fabric covering. Lots of details in the guns and the cowl and that kind of stuff. So it was just a neat model. So don't blame him for buying it at all. And of course you can. Is it the last picture? It's the last picture. And on the left, I got it here. You can see the reason why I have that name. Let me stop sharing. The Hexie, which is right here.
Oh yeah. Now I get it.
Yes. It's actually called the Hexie. So
that is a neat airplane.
This is neat. I saw this. The guy had it on a table. Oh, sorry. Get over here. So I don't know if you can hear me. Sorry. So this is actually was built by somebody we know, Lee. His name is Steve. He's always at the Small Steps event.
Is it his design?
No, he told me what happened. He said this was originally a free flight design from back in the let me move over a little bit. I forgot what 50s or 60s or something like that. And then he scaled it up a little bit and made it RC. So he added a tail with elevator and rudder, and it's got an ancient, I think he said it was an OK Cub 049 class engine, half A engine on it that he flew it on. No throttle, just run it. And it's got a couple servos you can see in the front here, and it's just a weird looking flying wall shelf or something.
Yeah.
He said it actually flies pretty good. Our buddy Tom Blakeney has flown it, and he also told me that it flew pretty well. He just said that it has like a glide ratio of 1-to-1, so when the engine quits, it's coming down. And the only thing about it is I'm going to lambast Steve with a wet noodle here. He sealed up the battery and receiver, so I'm going to have to do surgery to get in there because I don't know how good the battery is, and I don't know if I don't even know what kind of radio is in it. But he gave me a really good deal on it, so thanks, Steve. This is pretty cool. I'm going to get it flying just like this, and it's just a really weird thing. Let me stand back on it. That just needs to be flown.
You need to have an ejection parachute. When the engine dies, just poof.
Just.
I'm curious. The outer wing panels, are they just butt joined on there?
That's what I thought.
In fact, yes, for the most. In fact, one of them, this one.
I mean, you might as well just put hinges.
No, it needs some reinforcement, but yeah, they're more or less butt joint glued. So I was going to maybe get some triangle stock or something to put in there to stiffen it up. But yeah, because I think taking it out of the car or sticking it somewhere, one of them.
You could custom order some K&S metal,
There you go.
Metal parts. But it's pretty neat. It's just a weird, and I did find online a Hexie, I think article and plans.
Do you know the date for the design?
I thought it was the 50s.
Okay.
I had to double check.
See, look at this. I love our friendship because what I see right now is the model for one that should be 3 times as big out of foam.
Out of Depron or something, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Use that as the base and then make a big foamy electric.
Oh,
with 2-to-1 glide ratio. Hopefully.
Yeah, it probably would fly better, being foam, being a little bit lighter, although it might not.
go back to that. There is gosh darn it, there is an old plane that I think the nose is what goes up. It's got it's like a canard, but for some reason, looking at that hex nose, and it was in the front, and it's kind of moved inside the fuselage. Early airplane. I'll go look it up. But I kind of wondered if you turned that around and made it a canard.
Okay, here I'm gonna take control one more time. I just found something. So percent screen. Yes. So I was off by about a decade. It's actually like 1960s, 1963. Where is it? Hexy. So there it is. I'm just showing it up on the screen. October 1963 Aero Modeler, 15-inch span. So yeah, this was.
Oh gosh, tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny. This is by twice as much. Well, actually, this is. Oh, look at that. So the picture is the one I have. Somebody must have put a picture of the.
Can you share your screen?
I'm sorry, you weren't sharing your screen.
That's the exact one.
Yeah, he must upload his picture or something.
That's
interesting.
Cool. I wonder if in-flight orientation is going to be an issue with those strange shapes.
It does look funky. Yeah, I wonder if his colors are different somewhere. No, they're not really. There's some red on the bottom. That's about it. Yeah, that's it. But on the left, you can see. I don't know if I can zoom in. Sort of. There we go. The XC, I think the original had an 010 or 020 engine. I think 020.
Okay.
Cox 020 engine, and it was all free flight from what I remember, from what he told me. It looks like it.
Huh, interesting.
That should be from the 60s. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Cox TD 020. And it talks about different pieces of wood and stuff. And so you can, yeah, that's definitely the one I just bought. That's not the, so interesting. So anyways, I look forward to seeing how it flies. Let me stop sharing. And maybe I'll make a video of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember that day of the swap meet, Curtis posted a picture of this and tagged me on it. I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. And then later on, I'm like, ooh, I hope Fitz bought it.
Yeah. He actually had another one too, a ring plane, where it had normal sort of wings and the ends were rings.
Oh,
and the tail was a big ring.
Okay.
But that was sold. That was, I think Tom bought that one, our buddy Tom. So, so I had to go with that was my leftovers.
All right.
So I think that was it for pictures. It was a great swap meet. If you're in the area, there's definitely one to attend. Some really good deals. Oh, yeah, I had a couple of notes about the swap meet. Hold on a second. I got that. A couple things came up. There was this guy came up to me and he goes, "Hey, I remember you. We used to meet at Jim Berg's house to build models." And I was like, and he told me his name. I was like, that name sounds familiar. And it turns out when I last saw him, he was like 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He was like just a little kid. And he'd grown up and married with a kid. And that's why I didn't recognize him. I was like, oh my, you're that little kid that used to hang around. I think I sold a couple of models to. And he said, yeah, he had gotten onto the hobby. He was getting back in it. And I said, wow, that's fascinating. He used to blast from my past. And he listens to the show.
Oh, nice.
I think he said he listened to the show. Either the show or my YouTube. Sorry, I can't remember which one. But he kept tabs.
We know the answer.
Mm-hmm. So that was neat to see an old associate like that.
Yeah.
Plans. Speaking of plans, so the buddy I ferried the D7, he found some guy that was just giving away a whole bunch of plans and stuff. Articles and plans, and he let me leaf through them, and I found a couple of really interesting things in them, and I'll just go real quick. One was this was so goofy that I just had to grab it. I don't know if you can see.
Not really.
Does the camera focus?
Starstream.
It's called the Starstream, but look at the nose. Look at.
Does that help?
It's kind of fuzzy. I see that the nose folds down.
Right. It's like a ducted fan, but the nose folds down to start the Cox engine on it.
Oh, and you start it and then
snap the nose closed. it was just so weird and bizarre that I had to grab it. And there's just plans for it to it.
Okay.
Something called a Weta, which is just, I don't know what it is. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Like a neat little electric.
What does the acronym stand for?
I don't know. Waiku Express Transport Aviation.
Of course, that's what it stands for.
Somebody just made it up.
Yeah.
A twin O20 powered plane.
Oh, okay.
So I got a couple O20s. I was like, well, I might make a neat thing.
Is that an Ace Wing?
Yes, it is. It's one of the Ace Wings.
Okay.
Although interesting, it says it was an Ace. It's not the normal Ace Wings. It's something I had never heard of. It was Ace Guppy wing set. And apparently Ace made a wing set that had a flat bottom airfoil instead of the semi-symmetrical airfoil.
Oh.
They called them a Guppy wing. I did not know that either. I've never seen them. So if I do build it, I'll probably just use the regular Ace Wings and not the Guppy. So anyways, and I got a bunch more. There's like a neat little pusher thing I thought was kind of interesting. It's interesting. These are some older magazines, so they got some like really this ancient helicopter.
Oh yeah.
One last thing on there is apparently there was at some point this was an RC newspaper like publication that came out period, I guess monthly in the mid 70s, and it was like a magazine, but it was like a newspaper. So you've got it had plans in it there's a plans for a glider called a Cloud something or another. It's called the RC Sportsman, and it was just kind of neat that it. And there's a thing I'm gonna have to send you guys a either a scan or something of it. At the back is a complaint article about the FCC trying to control RC modelers. And what was it called?
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah,
do me a favor, scan that and put it on the iFlyMA Facebook group.
I'm going to have to do that.
Let's get some distraction.
It was FCC had a proposed rule for, I guess, licensing or something for RC modelers, and they were having none of it. So so I'll go try to scan it and see what I can do and put it up there.
All right.
And one last thing, there was one model that I almost missed until Richard pointed out to me, and it was something I'd never seen in a swap meet, and part of me wanted it so bad, but logistically, it wouldn't be possible. And some guy was selling a fiberglass fuselage booms with foam wings pond racer.
Ooh.
Yes, and he was almost giving it away. It was really good price, all beautiful. Only problem was it was really two of them, or like 1 3/4. He had bought one and bought parts for another one or something, and it was like a 10-foot wingspan.
That's big.
Yeah, that's really big.
You didn't bring a trailer.
I didn't bring my trailer. There's no way I could transport it. And it just was too big. It was. I really wanted it. I mean, it's such a cool plane. I've never seen one. Everything was right. It's just logistically, it was like, where are we gonna? Even if I did get in home, where the hell am I gonna put it? It was big, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't think you usually had that thought about airplanes.
What?
Where am I going to put it when I get home?
Oh,
well, magically fit.
Yeah. Well, I'm at the point now where things don't magically fit anymore. Not that well. I tried. I thought about it and talked to some people to see if they wanted to go in on with me or something, but it didn't work out. So it was one of those things that can't have it all. Needs to be like half the size or something, or 3/4 the size maybe.
All right.
But anyways,
maybe they'll still be there next year, and you've cleared out some things from your workshop to
maybe
make room for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Richardson swap meet, very good. Right. So our buddy Sparky there.
Oh, good.
He came by. Keith came by. He kind of didn't hit and run. He had some things to do, but he found some goodies while he was there, so he was happy.
Good. Miss you, Keith. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, seem to be doing just fine.
Good. All right.
That's it for me.
All right, so we're creeping up on 2 hours here. We had a couple things left. I can be quick.
Go.
All right, so I have some thank yous. First of all, thank you, Lee, for being my friend. But also, I have a long overdue thank you. This one goes to Phil Tallman. So you, Lee, met up with Phil. Was it at Joe Nall?
Yeah. Joe Nall. Yeah, well, just Joe Nall. Yeah. Yes, I met up. Yeah, he hung out with us.
Yeah, so he handed you a box of stuff that you held on to, and then when you came up here for Oshkosh, you gave it to me. So it took a lot of miles and a little bit of time to make its way to my shop. But this box of goodies is now here. Phil, thank you very much. It's cool. And what's in the box is a lot of legacy electric RC equipment, like a wattage EDF unit, a Wematech fan, Plettenberg motors.
Nice.
A Grotner Speed 400 motor, new in box. Just a lot of neat the 90s era electrical equipment, which is the stuff that really speaks to me. And again, a lot of it's like in the box, brand new. So it's perfect for my Museum of Electric Flight that I'll correct or build one day. Yeah. So anyway, Phil, thank you very much for that. I will try to be a good steward of those precious things. And the next thank you goes out to Ron Hull, who was also here for Oshkosh, and he and his family stayed for a couple days, and he made the totally unnecessary gesture of buying me an airplane as a thank you gift. So Ron, thank you for that very much. The airplane he got me is an E-flite. I always get the order switched here. Slow ultra stick. I always want to say ultra slow stick, but it's the slow ultra stick. And there's some things about this airplane that surprised me. I was aware of its existence, but I just assumed that it was this uber lightweight thing like a GWS slow stick. It is not that. This is a beefy, meaty airplane. I think this, I don't have it in front of me. The span is 40 something, 50. There's the picture of mine on the day I made it. And it weighs 30 something ounces. And so it's built like a tank, not overbuilt, but it's just not this fragile, lightweight thing. And the second thing that surprised me is, and I'll try to calibrate myself with you guys here. The stock CG per the manual is at 43%. If you saw that, would you think it was an error?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did I. I'm thinking like 20, 25%. So I emailed our buddy Gary, who I think he was actually the designer of this plane. He certainly did some of the R&D work. And he said, nope, that's right. We actually flew it further back than that. And it's fine. That it should be where we say it should be. And so I'm like, all right, Captain, follow you. I made it yesterday and it flies great with the CG that far back. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into all that determine where CG should be, but 40 for me is typically a 3D style airplane, even with all those other factors accounted for. But if somebody looks at the manual and says, wow, that seems far back, it fits on this airplane. It just works. It's a great flying airplane. When I flew yesterday, it was pretty windy here. Takeoff rolls were inches, and with no side area, it doesn't care about the wind at all. Mm-hmm. Didn't mind that it was there. Put in 2 flights on it, no problems. It's very aerobatic. It rolls like crazy. I have triple rates on it, so even on the bottom aileron rate, which is 50%, does nice rolls. Great inverted flight. Of course, the only thing I couldn't do was knife edge, but flew it and had fun with it. And with a 1,300 milliamp hour battery, getting like 5-minute flights. So I look forward to trying out again when there's less wind or no wind, just see how it does then. But another interesting thing about it, one servo drives both ailerons. So in stock form, you can't do flaperons. But based on what I saw yesterday, I don't think you need them. So yeah, fun airplane. I look forward to logging some more time on it and ringing it out. And it seems like it's going to be really tough too. So I think it'll be one of my daily beaters.
Yeah, Fitz and I didn't buy you an airplane. We're terrible. How about you, epoxy?
Yeah. Oh, you did. Yeah. So I didn't mention that. Thank you, Lee. If you look, there's a video on Instagram on our Facebook page that after you guys left, it was a few days later, I had to glue something and I was looking at my epoxy bottles and I'm like, that rascal. You had written some not so nice things on my epoxy bottles because they may have crystallized a little and changed color over the years. And looking at them, you know how the epoxy usually has the name of the hobby shop where they came from. On my 30-minute epoxy, that hobby shop has been gone for years. Fitz Odyssey Hobby?
Yeah, Odyssey
Wasn't that
Hobby.
the one in
Yep.
Clear Lake? Yeah, how long has that been gone?
Pushing 10 years?
Yeah,
8
I'm
years, like that?
I'm sure I bought it when I lived there, and that's
Yeah.
been more than 10 years ago. So that epoxy was at least that old. I mean, it works. For the stuff that had crystallized, I just put it in hot water for a few minutes and it loosens up. Lee was having none of that. And so,
No.
so he made fun of me in person, and then I found his love notes later. And then last week, a package arrived on the doorstep with some new epoxy in it. So thank you, Lee.
It's that a real man has fresh epoxy.
But I'll tell you, half the people that commented on our post said, just put it in the microwave, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's
So-
just wrong. Like when I did my research a while back, because I had been practicing with different epoxies, which is also why I got that vacuum chamber to do some testing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, most of the stuff, not all the stuff, said, you know, if you keep it at room temperature, it can last for several years. But the stuff I found was a 2-year shelf life.
Yeah.
That's the date you should put on your epoxy and say, throw me out in 2 years.
That's probably reasonable. The 30-minute stuff was a nice deep amber color.
I mean,
So
I was looking for a mosquito in there that had dinosaur DNA in it.
yeah. So thank you. That's my third thank you. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Lee.
You're welcome.
You know what? What the hell? Thank you, Fitz. Just for being here.
Oh, okay.
So those are my thank yous. Now, I went to an event last weekend. I know, Lee, you're probably getting the twitch because we're coming up on 2 hours. So I'll give you the elevator pitch on the event. This was the Warbirds and Classics. Maybe there's more to it, but it was the event in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Big event. People came from all over. There was a contingent, I think, from Arizona.
Wow.
I think there were some people from Texas there. There was a big Canadian presence. Interestingly, I'll go ahead and take my first swerve here. I was talking to one of the people manning the desk up there about the Canadian contingent. Like, there's no more reciprocity between the AMA and MAC. So all the guys that came from Canada had to get AMA memberships to participate. So did we talk about that reciprocity ending?
You mentioned it before, I thought.
Yeah. So that happened a few months ago. And I think it was Mac's doing when they were in the middle of their
I think
situation.
When Bruce was on, I think we talked about it.
Was it? Yeah. And so, we probably need to do an update on where things are with Mac and Canadian modelers in general. So our Canadian friends out there, let us know where things stand. Are you still in the muck, or is your outlook better now?
Yeah, they opened back up again. Weren't they had a total shutdown for a while?
Yeah, something like that. And it wasn't looking good. But anyway, in the midst of that, Mac cut ties with the AMA. There used to be reciprocity where AMA members could fly at MAC fields in Canada. MAC members could fly at AMA fields here. But that is no more. So anyway, great event. It's mostly large Warbirds, mostly large gas-powered Warbirds. But I was really surprised by the number of electric models that were there. Big stuff too. And big like fighters, not all observation planes and slow stuff. So we were represented well. And of course, there were lots of good gas-powered models, a lot of turbines flying off the grass field there. It's a great facility, lots and lots of people there. There's a big spectator presence. I don't know how long this event has been in Fond du Lac, but the community comes out and watches. They set up their chairs and they watch not just the noontime air show part, but just the events going on throughout the day. So I went to it last year for a short while, and when I left, I promised myself I would have something ready to participate this year. I lied to myself. I did not participate. I just went and spectated for a while. So I promised myself again that I'll have something ready to participate next year. And you guys hold my feet to the fire on that one, because I do want to participate.
Whatever happened to that big Eindecker you had?
That's the one I have in mind to get ready.
Oh, you still have it? Okay.
I still have it. I have all the
don't
parts.
remember seeing it when we were there.
Yeah, the wings, which were completed when I bought it, again, more than 10 years ago. This is an SR Batteries Eindecker, 100-inch span. I intend to do it electric, I think. I still go back and forth whether to do it electric or gas, but my soul tells me it needs to be electric. So, yeah, that's the plan for that one. The wings have been built. They've gone through 3 moves now. Houston to Lubbock to Buffalo to, yeah. So there's a little bit of damage there, but nothing that I couldn't fix pretty easily. So I just need to get everything off the bench and put that thing on it and get it built.
Oh, so it's not built.
No, only the wings were put together. Everything else is still in the boxes.
For some reason, I thought it was built.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of other cool stuff to see there. There was an Eindecker there. I couldn't tell if it was the SR or the Balsa USA. I don't know the differences between them, but I thought it had an interesting paint scheme, so I took a picture of it. I spent a few hours today going through my photos. I didn't get many great photos. I was there mostly in the morning, and in the morning the sun is on the other side of the runway, so all the planes were backlit. So had I been there in the afternoon, I probably would have got much better photos, but I got a few salvageable things, and I'll share them when I've processed everything. So trying to think of particular highlights. Just so many cool planes there.
I've seen some videos on YouTube, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, and if you want to link some, that would be helpful.
All right.
So good job to, I don't know the name of the club, but the RC Club in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Great event. I look forward to participating next year. Thanks for, they gave me a pass so I could go out on the flight line and take some pictures. So I appreciate that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And yeah, it's really cool. If you're in the area, it's worth the drive. Again, people come to participate from miles and miles away. So it's just a big deal. Lots of people there. Lots of very unique airplanes. A DO-335.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And from what I could tell, it only had an engine in the front, had a propeller in the back, but I think it was just freewheeling.
Oh, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, but man, that sucker was loud. It was a good loud, but it was loud and fast. So that'll be in my pictures. It looked really good. There was one tent that had almost all Axis stuff. There was like a ME-262, a 190, the Dornier, and some other stuff. So Fitz, you would have been drooling all over that. Lots of good Japanese models there. A really nice big Tony with a nice sounding engine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't shoot any video. I did all still photos. But as Lee said, there is some video out there. So yeah, that's going to have to do it for my summary of that. And I got to run into Dan Sponholz there. Hi, Dan. Thanks for meeting up with me for a little while. And my buddy Tony Lewis was there as well, but I was out taking pictures while he was there, so we missed. So sorry about that. And I got to run into a couple other people and chat with them. Always fun to do. So thanks, guys. And I'm counting on you people, especially you two right here, to make sure that I get that Eindecker built or get something built to participate next year. It's a big bird event. So 80-inch monoplane, 60-inch biplane. We've talked about this before. What's the rule with EDFs or jets in general? Is there I'm sure that, I don't know if it fits under the...
For wingspan or what?
Yeah.
I thought maybe at least 40-inch wingspan or something.
Oh, that's nothing.
What was it? I don't remember. Usually jets is kind of nebulous.
Yeah,
usually,
there was...
Turbines usually fairly large, until very recently, but...
Yeah, I remember there were a couple T-33s that put on a good show there. There was a Vulcan there, a 4 EDF Vulcan. It was 80-inch span.
Oh,
yeah, that was really impressive.
Quite logical.
Scratch built. So I got some pictures of that one. You'll hear more about that in my column. So for my upcoming column, which won't appear for a few more months because the lead times of magazine writing, but I focused on the electric powered models that were there. So you'll see some more details on a few of those. So, but anywho, that was Warbirds and Classics over Fond du Lac and Fond du Lac, attacking Fond du Lac, whatever they call it.
Attack on Fond du Lac.
Yeah.
Neat. Sounds like a great event.
It is. So next time you guys come up for Oshkosh, stick around for an extra 3 weeks and we'll head down there.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, okay.
So, all right, that's all I have. Are we missing anything? Are we forgetting anything?
Best.
Oh yeah, coming up.
Best is coming up.
coming.
Bombers before that. Bombers in what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, Bombers coming really
1,
soon.
2, 3 weeks away is Bomber.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Bomber Field. Is this the B-17 fly-in?
Yeah.
Or the Warbird fly-in?
Big Bird.
Okay.
Big Bird. B-17 and Big Bird flying.
Yep.
In Monteville, Texas.
Was it 35th anniversary? Was that right?
35th.
The 35th anniversary. Another big giant pizza on Friday,
Uh-huh.
I think. So yeah, that's coming. Wait, man, where's the year go?
Dang. I will not have that P-38 ready.
The one you were going to have ready last year?
Yeah. No, because I got it. There was no way. Yeah.
So it sounds like we need a monthly Eindecker update and a monthly P-38.
P-38.
update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a room I could put it in.
Yeah. You got bigger space now.
I got a new workroom.
Yeah. A 12-volt battery and alligator clips should be part of that.
I should just do that. Put a table in there and put the P-38 and then take a picture and send it to Austin. Thanks for the new space.
All right. I think we've talked enough. Why don't you guys pull us out? That's you, Fitz.
No. Oh. Alrighty then.
Okay.
Well, they're all pointing at me. Pick it on me for.
You're the voice.
Fine. I'm going home. See you guys later. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening to the RC Roundtable. And go buy some KNS stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time. And remember to like and subscribe. And you can find us on iTunes and Podbean and so forth. And if we said anything obnoxious or insulting, please send us a note at contact@rcroundtable.com.
And send corrections.
And send corrections. We'll send those to Lee and
Terry.
Terry. That goes to Terry. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Please visit our website at rcroundtable.com, where you can send us comments and suggestions or listen to our other great podcasts, where you will also find links to our iTunes and social media sites. Thanks for listening.